Most excellent.
Hey, everybody. It's a brand new Sunday, a Sunday live chat. Everybody welcome. And welcome our special guests, Mark Pistel and Adam Sherburne. Adam, you're in the darkness today. And
Yep.
we'll have to work with that. That's the mode of the hour. Technology. You're in the darkness today. Special guests, we'll have to work with that.
Whoa, something's going kind of haywire
You're
now.
a crazy echo. Technology. Let's hear for it.
Yeah. Dre, don't let your playback get in the way there. I think that's
Nope. I just shut that off.
This is like a effective play.
I love technology. This is great.
Hey, this is what happens when you give old guys technology.
No, I know. Dude.
Yeah, totally. So, Mark, you're joining us from San Francisco, and Adam, even though you're hazed in the darkness, are you in Portland?
I am. I'm in rainy Portland, and I'm not an image. I'm just an idea. And yeah, I just crashed you again. Sorry if that was you, Dre.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are frozen.
We've got our mystery guest host today, Zombie Dre, aka Dre Robinson. Welcome, Dre.
I'm just here to show off the shirt.
That's very nice.
It is a fine shirt.
Actually, Dre was saying that our inception of meeting. I've been friends with Dre for forever, and he said that the first time we ever met was at one of your shows.
Yeah, it was.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Good old 90s. Love Affair.
Oh, in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
A bunch of my high school buddies and we were sitting around and we were like, dude, Consolidated's playing Vancouver. Let's go. And we hauled ass up there to the Love Affair. And I remember before the show started, Kevin had rolled in, and he had his beer and he was with his guest. And he was literally like 6 feet to my right of me at the Love Affair. And I was just totally just like, oh my God, it's the guy from Skinny Puppy. Oh my God.
That guy. Oh no, should I talk to him? Oh God.
And then, fast forward to, us being buddies and all. It's just like, it's a weird full circle. And, I think Consolidated is they're part of that, big part of that.
We'll take credit. We were the catalyst that brought you guys together.
But I remember being afraid of Pistel because he was so stoic behind the keyboards.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that guy looks very serious. I don't know.
If I do say so myself, I'm,
just behind that Emax, all very,
Am I still with you
we
guys?
did end up talking to Adam, though.
Yeah, there you are, Adam. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, I just cut myself off, but keep talking about the good old Emax days.
The good old. Well, yeah, it took. I think I measured the average Emax load time is 18.2 seconds.
Oh my God.
I used to have two of them on stage, right? And we'd play the sequences on one Emax, and I'd be playing samples with the other. And then I'd have to count, okay, it's going to be like 30 seconds. We're going to go to the next song. So I'd have to start loading the bank. And then I'd pray that the floppy would load in time to hit the sequence.
Like, oh my God.
If you had to load it twice, that was when the real problem would start to occur. You'd be like, that's another 18 seconds. What am I going to do?
I'd like to definitely interject that the fact that you know about that stuff, Kevin, is just awesome that you all met at our show. And I definitely want to note that without Skinny Puppy, there's no Consolidated. You all are just, really? You were aware of how to load those discs and how to combine funky beats with all of the important issues. And that stuff's way in our DNA. So thanks for all of that.
No, absolutely. You guys were a big influence on us, and one of the reasons why we ended up signing with Network was because of you guys, for sure.
Really? So how is it that I was going to ask you, how did you make the initial contact? That was our common ground at first, was the Network connection. You guys did what, 9 EPs and 3 albums for Network?
Something like that. I didn't keep count,
like
we had our drummer gave like a cassette demo to some DJ in Montreal, and that guy got it to Germany somehow, and we ended up doing our first EP with this guy, this techno DJ called Tala 2 XLC, later of By God 20. But Tala was the first one to put out our he put out our first EP, and then somehow like Wax Trax got wind of it, and there was some, I don't know, people at Wax Trax were talking about us, but we weren't right for them. And I think somebody at Wax Trax suggested to either Mark Jowett or Terry McBride that Network should check out Consolidated. And then ironically enough, we had just sent them a cassette demo, and then they responded on it right around the same time we were recording our first EP. And so we recorded the first EP really for Tala's label, Zoth Omog. But then when we released it, we did a co-license with Network, and we were excited to be on Network because Skinny Puppy was on Network, and all the On You Sound stuff was on Network, you know. And so we were really excited about that.
Small world, because I also knew Tala, and he brought us to his headquarters when we were in Frankfurt, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Pretty kind of cool guy, and was very hip early in the scene too. I thought he was kind of on it, and
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And then there was that other guy too, Sven Vath was also one of his buddies. It was like kind of like,
Yeah, that guy's
pretty
like a techno DJ now, isn't he? He's got like a
yeah, became huge.
Yeah.
A huge techno DJ. But yeah, so you guys hooked up with Network, but before that, you guys had met in a band called Until December. Mark, can I say that you actually came from a Foreigner cover band?
Not exactly, no. But I did. Well, you know, when I was a kid, I grew up in the Midwest, and I did play in cover bands. That was
Yeah,
like
we all
going to
did,
school
yeah.
for me. Yeah, no, I mean, you know, we
That's where you
played
learn.
whatever the dumb rock songs of the day were, and I used to I grew up in Duluth, Minnesota, and so we played the Midwest scene, and you know, a cover band. We played 5 nights a week, 4 hours a night. And when you do that stuff, you know, you can't help but get it together, you know.
I think it's a great training for the days to come, especially you don't realize it at the time that those skills of learning other people's arrangements and stuff come pretty into play later. Adam, Until December was kind of like your band at first, and then Mark, you came along, and that's how you guys met?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that did you learn anything about being in that band, such as like a lot of people do when they're in the band that's you guys did reasonably well, commercially acceptable, and did you learn anything from being Until December that you didn't want to repeat in bringing to Consolidated?
Yeah, every single thing. That's a well put rhetorical question. It was about 95%. There was 5% that I'll say, you know, on behalf of that experience, that we were having a good time all the time, and we were young kids, and just the getting sledgehammered with the reality that the industry is child traffickers and mafioso, and that they, you know, are really going to start encroaching on your creative autonomy immediately. That was a great takeaway. And so even though Mark and I knew when we were heading back into the shark's waters that we were going to face all the contradictions, that was a teachable moment. One had to enter reality and get off of drugs and the music industry on that level to get there. But yeah, that's a good starting point for sure.
What was your original inspiration when you guys met to say, okay, this is it. We've got to create a different type of band that sort of like seemingly wanted to deal with something a little bit more at the time, the darkest part of your closet could be seen as everything that we didn't talk about. And it's kind of amazing that you guys were talking about things that now it must be just, I don't know how, this is really where I want to get at, is how interesting this is, that you guys were speaking about all this like 30 years ago, and now it's just come full front and center in our face, pretty much, you know, extreme forms of everything that you guys warned about and everything that you spoke about. So you're in, we're starting Consolidated at a time when, you know, things were weren't as spoken about. They were sort of swept under the rug still. And you guys, were kind of known for exposing these thoughts. Was that the original goal for starting the band?
It was definitely part and parcel of making a commitment to music that wasn't going to be dumbed down people's disco on purpose, trying to move up in the music industry. It was, again, standing on the shoulders of great movements. Again, kudos to your band. We were trying to be aware in life of the necessity for solidarity and unity across all these issues. Like anybody who had been around and was old and dying in that time was yelling to us, realize the need for lifelong daily organization, realize the need for joining with other people and gathering in real time around tangible projects for social change and for justice. And that all these things are worse now. And, at the same time, they were all there. We, again, we had our contradictions, just immediately agreeing to be a band and to try to get out there in capitalism and still be some kind of useful guidance or useful analogy for people who are trying to make art or make activism. But over time, that crushed us. And then the only significant thing that people aren't talking about, that we didn't get to, and I again have shame for not anticipating that enough, is that the whole world would change when file sharing came on the scene. It wasn't just like some of us down in the bottom rungs would lose our deals and go into musical homelessness. It was like the entire concept of how people live and make money and survive in the future was changing across all strata. But music, of course, takes the lead with all of that. So it was first. And, it's just, it's probably the single most decisive development since we were in a band. And we were trying to anticipate that, but we still accepted all the intractable ironclad philosophies that Adorno was talking about in the 60s. We just had no idea what would happen when the profitability of recorded music was liquidated. And so that's a far more exciting project. And even though it had something to do with how we fizzled out like millions of others, what we're doing on this side of it and revisiting it is it's just a great way to tie up the decades in between and realize that we're still falling prey to many of the same tactics of COINTELPRO that the system is shooting at people, even since the 60s. The idea of driving people into single interest, into identity capitalism. We couldn't articulate that then, but you could kind of feel it. And we've been living through it for that time. And now we're on the other side of it. And, when you are 0.03 of the industry you were in before, you love, you ain't doing it for the do, re, mi. To read, and it's very interesting on this side.
Breakdown of interhuman relations, de-escalated.
And you to just put you to sleep. I guess I have to go smoke more weed and shut up. Sorry.
Hell no. I think you're right on.
230 characters.
I mean, the fact is that we've been kind of bitch slapped by so many things in the last year that how do we watch out for anything at this point when it's just right forefront in our face now? How do we think now?
How do you think now, Mark? Dre?
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a tough question. Yeah, for me, I just had to get away from it all and just recede back into my, personal life. I just, yeah.
Does it when you start thinking about things like that too much, it can be
it's depressing. Yeah, it's depressing. Yeah. Number one, and yeah, it's just too much. Yeah.
How about you, Dre?
Well, it's kind of really different for me, because I'm sure all of you know I'm an adventurous type, and I like to roam about. I like to walk everywhere, And I honestly don't feel safe doing that anymore, you know? It's like, because people of my color have become hunted, you know, by the police and by racists. So I've never really had that fear before in my life until, you know, recently. So it's kind of a, you know, it's kind of a whole new world for me. It's almost like a restarting, but I have to stay aware of my surroundings at all times and what's going on, you know, in the situations, and try not to be around anything that might escalate in any kind of way, because that's, you know, if somebody threatens to call the cops on you, you know, that's kind of like a death sentence for brown people. So you really have to like stay aware and just kind of like mind your business, do what you got to do, get back to the house, you know, and just kind of shut it all off once you get inside. But when I go outside, yeah, I'm definitely a bit more aware of my surroundings than I used to be. A lot less carefree, you know, because anyone can say anything, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, you've got cops swooped on you. It happened to me in Seattle way before all this, you know, cops murdering people happened, you know, and that's that was kind of my peek into what was going to happen in the future, but never thought it would escalate to this kind of you know,
Yeah.
situation.
No,
Yeah, man.
especially you know, given the history and you know, I mean, how far have we come since Rodney King? Really, you know, it's like, yeah,
Yeah, it's like that circled back on itself in a weird way.
So-
It's like you think that the surveillance and having the phones and showing all this stuff would stop everything, but it it really hasn't. You know, it's kind of sad.
I listened to the new Consolidated album last night. We're already there. What is the meaning behind that? Is that essence the breakdown of the music industry you were speaking about, Adam? Did we lose Adam?
I
Adam.
see him.
Oh, Adam.
Uh-oh.
Adam. Well, how about you? How about you, Mark? Can you answer that one?
Well, it's Adam's title, so I got to let him answer that. Adam,
Looks like we did lose him.
you know, he's driving the lyrics, and I mean, basically, I think the sentiment is just that, you know, we're already there. It's done, you know.
It has to be interesting. I mean, you guys were together from generally from 88 until 95 or something, and then you guys.
Even earlier, like, you know, you mentioned until December. I joined until December in '86, and then we really started Consolidated, I guess, in '88, and then we were solid from about '88 to about '96. And then that's, you know, we kind of all imploded around '96, and then Adam went off and did his thing. At that point, I joined Meat Beat Manifesto, and wound up playing with them for about 10 years. I still see a lot of that. And
yeah, wonderfully too. You guys have seriously kicked ass, obviously.
yeah.
Certainly an interesting bunch of music with you did some Tino Corp and some other stuff with Jack.
And most of the Tino Corp stuff was Jack's solo stuff and Jack and Ben Stokes stuff. But yeah, I was involved with a few of those, you know, Subliminal Sandwich and 99% and At the Center, and a few of those albums I was involved with for sure.
Nice.
How was it? I mean, I've been to Jack's studio before, and I thought, like, wow, this is like a beautiful studio to be in, just a wonderful place. Is that something that you were able to invade? And,
absolutely, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, he's. I mean, I know you're a synth collector as well, and both you guys, and I am as well. But I always I can't compete with Jack, man. He's got everything. You know, he's got the Synthy 100 and the ARP 2500, and you know, he's last time I was up there, he had just got a Moog System 35. It just arrived.
Nice.
you know, and I got some nice stuff at my place, but yeah, I can't compete with Jake. But I love going up there and hanging and jamming and just playing around, you know.
So you have your own studio in San Francisco, Room 5 studio. And
I do,
guess you're-
yeah. Room 5 is my spot. I've had the same space now. I've been there, it's 20 years, and yeah, I basically I just built the place to do my own projects, and so, you know, aside with Consolidated, I've had a couple of solo records, and then I do a fair amount of mixing, mastering, producing, you know, that kind of stuff for other artists. And so, hey, do we have Adam back? I thought.
Sorry about
Yeah, it looks like he's back.
Adam, welcome back.
You all just went dead. I'm sorry. I went.
So we had posed the question a little bit a while ago before we lost you. The title of the new album, "We're Already There," is that referring to the status of the music industry right now, or just overall general what we've witnessed the last little while?
Well, actually, I have to confess, it's simply a Jacob Dylan tribute album. I'm joking, of course. I didn't know that till much later, and all I was connecting it to is the time to realize that Daddy's not going to fix it for us. We're already there. The time to realize that the music industry is not the solution to our musical problems. We're already there. And so the idea of getting people to gather around music in a way that's just not promulgating the same thing it's promulgating exploitation and not getting musicians any money. We're already there. So that was just the shallow surface concept.
I really love the diversity on the album. It's something that if you put it on and you think that you know what you're going to hear, by the end, the adventure, there's a kind of a deep musical maturity that, I don't know. Adam, I've heard that you're a wicked guitar player, that you can play any Jimmy Page, Hendrix, or Stevie Ray Vaughan lick.
Not true.
Not true.
It's true. He can. It's true.
He's ridiculously good.
Mark, I mean, I'm hearing what sounds to be an amazing live band. Are you guys recording live jams of this stuff, or how is the compositional side coming together?
Adam's gonna fart now and make fart noise. Yeah. Well, so the way we made the record is, yeah, it was very much live. We set up at my studio for about a week or so, and we invited our good friend Lynn Farmer to come in. Lynn from Meat Beat Manifesto, also good friend. And so Lynn and Adam and I set up at my studio, and we just jammed. And we jammed for about a week, and I recorded it all. And then so I took bits and pieces of that and started making tracks with it, and sending those to Adam. And then Adam, by this time I guess the recording happened in January of 2019. So it was just before lockdown, and then we went in. The idea would be to have Adam come back and add vocals and other parts, and we kind of produce the record together. But what ended up happening is I was sending him files, and then he'd record it on his little setup in Portland, and then he'd send me some of his raw ideas as files, and then I'd work on those, down at my place. So we did a lot of it over the internet, which was not planned, but that's just the way it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't tell. I mean, it definitely sounds like a mature, like dark bluesy type, almost like at times like like internationalism. It's like a dark and mature. Lamenting auto-tuned life is kind of like almost a Sun Ra-ish in a weird type of way, in that world. But then you guys, I like how you stroll into kind of like, a Kraftwerkian sort of world with Musica Sin Fronteras. The Noise Dancers gets, really into like sonic sonic territory with your guitars, and then Mark, with your experience with dub, I mean, I'm wondering if the controls, who controls the pass is kind of like a very dub oriented type thing. So there's like a whole bunch of cool experiments going on, as well as your single Capitalism, which is kind of like the typical what you would expect to hear from Consolidated.
Yeah.
So it's like it's really well rounded in the sense of it's a really good listen.
Well, thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I thought it's definitely sounded like a mature. You guys have matured. You've grown. It's like what you're 30 years on in the music industry, but I can sense that maturity in what you're doing. What was the typical approach? Or you gave the approach of how you recorded it, but as far as the headspace on the album, did you guys discuss ahead of time? Hey, I think we should have a live band for a part of it, or I want to go here and there.
We want to go here and there. We've wanted that since the early period of Consolidated. As soon as we started having any success with industrial music, that's when the music gets used as a sound, escape for all kinds of pathological behavior. And success breeds more pathology. So we figured, why not enjoy ourselves, make a wide variety of music, and commit commercial suicide? And that actually helped, and it probably strung out the band's trajectory a little longer, because it was far more interesting for us. We were doing pretty much every kind of style that we have on this record at some point back then. But
Right.
The idea was just to keep it interesting and realize that even though we're working these machines and these machines were working us, that we also remembered the traditions, and we remembered that we're just coming from dance music. And so we can go anywhere that is. And if we had longer than a few days to actually try any of this stuff out, we could actually cover some ground. But this is what we got to in the limited time as a hobby band project for that period.
Well, that, and also, I mean, we're, as you said, mature. We ain't kids. So, it's like we have these influences, it's just like I grew up listening to 60s and 70s bands, and, and so all that stuff is deep in my psyche anyway. And I know Adam, Adam learned how to play guitar watching Jimmy Page, so, or at least that's what you said at one point. And so, I mean, all that stuff is deep in us. So, I think that's one thing with age is you just don't give a shit anymore. You're just like, yeah, well, I like this and I also like that. I don't care what anybody thinks about it. This is what I'm going to do. That's the luxury of being a mature musician who's not worried about the commerciality of what we're doing. It's just like,
I love the diversity of the new record.
Yeah, absolutely.
It spawns so many different genres, and I've actually thrown a couple people off. I was like, okay, I'm gonna play a song off the new Consolidated, and then I played robot flamenco shit.
Right.
And people are like, no way, that's Consolidated. I'm like, oh yeah. And then that's when I had to go on and talk about like, oh yeah, those guys can really play. It's like Mark is an awesome bass player, and Adam is a really, really good guitar player. A lot of people.
Adam is tearing it up on the guitar and that flamenco shit, right?
Just ridiculous. I remember seeing him play guitar during a sound check, and it was just kind of like, I was like, oh my.
What's so funny here is just the concept of guitar playing is so anathema to industrial music that I've already been censored out of my own projects for 30 years. And we're all talking about that now. So I find that quite heartening as far as the development of people's interest. And I want the four of us to fucking jam someday.
We don't.
That could happen.
Speaking of which, I think the last time I saw Consolidated live was with Adam and the two younger guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where the record dropped. It might have been. I think that was the last record I picked up since the new one.
Word. That was the same thing. It was three dudes playing over beats, but lots has happened, and it seems like it's a great time for people to just get in touch with the music they're into, but in a way that it can find solidarity with music of people who isn't, they aren't coming from the same aesthetic or social or political origins. And we put, some diversity of sound out there because, not being internationalist in sound is really tone deaf right now. And like Mark said, we don't give a shit. We like to have a wide variety of fun and enjoying music and demonstrating things that relate to a lot of different people around the world.
Yeah, could you imagine trying to negotiate that record to a label these days now?
Yeah, there's no labels, and that's why we felt far less pressure to go ahead and leave all the mistakes in intentionally, because they're the only things that sound interesting. And after decades of polished turds and auto-tune perfection, the fact that there are no labels is the good thing. The only bad thing is that we agreed to a deal with a label that guaranteed that Mark would make no money out of this entire project. But I would like to say that at least Mark paid with his own money to buy the incredible artwork.
That happens to be right behind me.
Is that behind? Okay, yeah.
Put that shit on the screen, fool.
That's the original for the album right there. Sorry, the lighting's not great in here.
That's perfect.
Yeah, there it is.
So we're trying to sound like that cover looks. We're admitting the failures of our attempts to fuse activism with artistry, and we're looking for far more open-ended, I won't say ambiguous, but far less topical possibilities, so people can go back to relearning how to be human with each other. And so that's why there are songs like Flamenco Robot Shit, just because there's open breathing space there for people to get into other things. And this artist who's worked with us as our videographer for all of our vids on this is a fantastic painter and has just been really inspirational to us. And we're hoping after these couple of gigs where we're just going to play a 45-minute Disney cattle call festival set, maybe next year, if anyone gives us a gig, we'll be able to go out there and make music that sounds like that painting looks.
Funny that Don't you guys have a couple of gigs booked already, September 15th and September 30th? September 15th in Brooklyn, September 30th at the Mayan.
Brooklyn not happening, but we are at the Mayan on the 30th. And we are in Chicago at the Metro on the 24th of September. And we're playing in Denver. And I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the venue, but we've got Denver on the 22nd. So 3 gigs in September.
Is that part of the cold
somebody you know might be helping you at the Mayan gig?
Who's that?
Somebody you know might be helping you out at the Mayan gig.
Who's that?
Me.
Oh, you.
Yeah, I'm gonna be stage tech. I'm gonna stage tech that gig.
Oh, so, great!
Yeah,
fantastic.
Looking forward to that.
You're gonna see all of the things that we hurried to get together that exploded and failed on us. That hopefully we got some of it worked out the 2 days before, when we come into LA and you see us and we look like 20 years older than we do now.
Well, and I should mention for these gigs. Lynn, who played with us on the record, is not able to make it. So we have enlisted our other friend, Kevin Carnes, of Beatniks and Brown Fellini fame.
You goddamn right.
And Kevin is a monster drummer.
Monster
person as well. And he's going to be with us at these 3 shows and hopefully more. So that'll be fun for people.
Is it just a 3-piece, you guys are live?
Yeah.
Now, has Kevin worked with the band before?
He did with me, and he doesn't need to work with anybody. He just shows up, and he is the father of all the beats that we play. So it's no thing for him to just sit in. Although I think we're going to see if we can invite him for a day to hang out before we go through this old man's terror trip.
Well, we got to rehearse a little bit before we get him in public, but yeah, it'll be be live. The lineup will be live drumming. I'll be playing electronics. And Adam will be playing guitar and doing vocals.
What sort of
And the
And
other
yelling at
thing
me.
I was going to say this, we're going to definitely tour extensively one time for the bucket list of senior citizens. And, we of course know that this is way below your pay grade, Captain, but we're looking for a drummer in Europe in 22, 23. And I don't need to go beyond this Zoom conference to make an invite. That's a joke to whatever extent that you want to take
If
it
you
as a
need a gig
compliment.
in next summer, yeah, we need a drummer for Europe.
Wow. I mean, I'm just looking forward to the world opening up again.
I know, right?
You guys warned about everything, but could you see the onset of a virus shutdown like that really coming as well? Did you guys ever sing about that?
Yeah.
I don't think we did.
The flood is about that, but it's also about everything. And it's just, who didn't live in 1918 can see what we saw. We just were as shocked as anybody. And then it was not just the lockdown, it was the mass psychosis that ensues that's tagging on to this hyper reactive trend around the world. It's not just Americans for Trump and right wingers, in North America or Europe. It's shit's going on everywhere. And there are really regressive trends that are, pushing us really closer to extinction and social collapse and infrastructural catastrophe. And so we just have to, we're trying to figure out that part of it. The other thing is capitalism is right up the pandemic's ass saying, move out of the way. We're getting it back and we're not making America great again. We're not pass and go. We're not, collecting 200. And so for us, it was, it was a powerful, unique and unprecedented sort of thing, like it is for everybody else. And at the same time, the driving concerns about how it gets handled or failed to get handled and what happens after are still the province of what we've been singing about the whole time.
Would you ever consider doing a pass around the mic thing in today's modern world?
We will at every gig. And who knows
how to do it safely is the
yeah,
we'll do that.
It'll be very interesting to hear what things are brought up.
Yep.
It's a new world, isn't it?
I mean, you think it was scary getting surrounded at the bus by people who said some of the shit that said shit on the mic back then. Today it's gonna be daunting, and Mark will be very thankful that he's inside with security packing up his gear. I'll be out at the band.
Adam, being up in Portland, it's kind of like a ripe area for like the activists. Do you find any passion in getting involved with any sort of form of activism in that sense?
Well, I have been the whole time, and I've been slow in admitting the futilities and pathologies of certain types of activism, but I'm trying to make those admissions. And I'm on the street in this town of ridiculous performance activism. And in fact, I'm feeding and teaching music to a lot of the houseless and housed occasionally youth that are part of Antifa, that are part of the groups who are dusting up with right-wing Clantifa in Portland, because for some reason, this town is some kind of sound stage for the most reactive tendencies in this area. We have a city that's not unlike many on the West Coast, except in the fact that it's small and its liberal majority is not like Seattle, even though that doesn't answer any of Dre's questions about fucking going out and taking care of your business in public. And in Portland, The reactive elements are adequate to the task of facing up to a bunch of starving kids, on the street. And so it's been a fertile ground for feudal performative political theater and violence. And it's also, of course, in the era of echo chamber media, it's a huge mark that gets used by right wing and Fox media all the time as everything that's bad about America. And the reality is, it's just like many places in America. And the polarity and the 50-50 fuck you, we're not budging and neither are you. It has expressed itself in Portland. So it is a bizarre place to be. I've been involved in stuff mostly around music, homeless youth, feeding people on the street now in the last year. My nonprofit, which is called PAIR, has had to close down a lot of its operations for a while, but we still get lots of donations, and people, are struggling, living and dying on the street. And we do have food, we do have survival supplies, tarps, tents, clothes, sanitizers, medical supplies, heroin rigs, and safe sharp boxes. And so we're doing that stuff here. And the power in all of these West Coast cities is being really slow to stop punishing people who demand the lowest form of human dignity. And so in all of these cities, the real power, not meaning City Hall, not meaning Congress people, but meaning the business alliances of all these West Coast cities, are realizing that it got away from them. And the degree of addiction, mental illness, desperation, violence, and of course, always guns, is such that they can't control that anymore. And so there's going to have to be, a mass commitment to housing and giving wraparound services and some kind of human lifeline and the ability to stay alive while we decide what the future economics are going to be, because the current ones have long been played out and they're not serving anybody. And they're actually not even serving the interests of those who are punishing everybody. So something's going to give.
Absolutely. So no more tennis then, Adam?
Funny that you should ask. Now that I can't see or walk any longer, I got some young kids who like to smack the tennis balls around occasionally, and I limp along and support. And I'm excited about anything that has to do with teaching humans how to relearn how to be human. So any music, art, sports, dance, writing, painting, I'm about all of that stuff, and trying not to turn everything into a fetishized symbolism of wokeness. Consolidated has our shame in leading towards a society that wasn't willing to do the work around the complexity of all these issues. So we're lying in it now.
Aren't we getting a little over woke?
Yeah, that's the whole point. The reactiveness of the left is shocking a lot of people, but there are origins for that, and they came before us. We contributed to them in some reason, but we at least showed up in real time and were willing to say, yeah, we're kind of hypocrites on that shit, and we want to stay around and help. And it's just it's a really frustrating time to see where to find traction with people, especially if you look like Mark and me. If you're an aged so-called European gent in any of these cultures, the same thing that people are crying about being canceled, there are examples of that are accurate. But at the same time, the racism and the police brutality continue unabated. So the racism that we've been unable to face and that we've replaced with all these other fake woke terms like diversity, and then replace that with equity, they're the same things that, we've failed to face and put masks in front of about all these social issues. So the good point is internationalism and mutual aid and weed and free music are the future. There are things that we can do. The bad part is, even people who look like me, when we go out, we are also, Dre, like many other people, just very possibly subject to someone totally tweak and have a mental break and wielding all kinds of dangerous weapons. And that happened to me on my way over here to dog sitting today on the other side of town. So, we all are seeing how society can take a shit in front of your eyes. And at the same time, there's all kinds of reasons not to be completely resigned. Music is going to find its power again, but it's not going to find its power in the music industry or making money off of music. It's going to find its power probably in bringing people together around the sounds that stop people from wanting to kill each other. And that's free music. We're not doing that. We're talking about Consolidated now, which is a band who released a product. But the free music thing is out there. It's out there for all of us. And I invite all of you all to engage in it and enjoy it with people who don't call themselves artists, who aren't experienced musicians, or who don't come from your own aesthetic origin. But that, that you have something in common with them, because as soon as you start playing music together, that's demonstrated. The sound of that is being demonstrated. So there's a lot to look forward to, and not have to worry about being positive or optimistic or hopeful. It's just doing it. It's engaging in the acts of things that are humanizing and that are really fun for all of us.
Did you guys feel the call, the beckoning? Because there was a point in music where I remember a few years ago, we were like, where is Consolidated? We really need them at this point. It's like, did you guys have your friends like telling you this at all?
Yeah. Good one. Thanks for bringing that up. You could tell Mark how we heard about the story.
Well, I mean, yeah. So we were kind of toying with the idea. There were a couple of things that kind of got us doing this again. One of the things was David Dodson's tribute record. He Dre, you did a track for that, I believe.
Dog and Pony Show, which you guys had dedicated to us at one show, because I think we had just gotten signed.
Oh, right.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so there was the Consolidated tribute record that David Dodson put together. We were, really honored and flattered by that. It's just like, wow, people, care that much about us. And it's like, and so there was that. And then we had also Jason from Cold Waves that approached me several times about, hey, dude, if you guys want to do this, I'll give you a gig. And then our former booking agent in Europe was the same thing. He was more like, well, everyone else has done a reunion. How come you guys haven't? And, so it was just like all those things together. And then we had the idea originally. Now, Adam and I haven't really, put anything out, but we have done jams together. We've played music together on and off over the years. And so he came down. We just had the idea to just jam and see where it went, and then
I should put in there that we did meet with the drummer Philip.
We did. We met with Philip, our the former third member of the band. He declined. He wasn't interested. He's got other things going on in his life. I don't blame him, but which is how we ended up playing with Lynn for the week.
Well, Lynn's a great drummer, so you didn't lose out there.
No, not at all.
Definitely world class. And you guys had like nearly 20 years to not work together. So how did it feel finally getting back together?
Well, that's what Mark was saying. We continued kicking it the whole time, and Mark was doing Meat Beat, and he was doing Hercules and Love Affair. And I was on the street with folks at Occupy, and I would come to town, every couple of years and bum out my old friends and say, can we jam in the studio without making a release? So there are numerous examples of that over the couple of decades before we did this.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you guys have a vault of unreleased stuff. I can take it then.
Yeah, there kind of is. A lot of it's just, jammy, undeveloped stuff, but yeah.
Mark, you were lucky in that, when you guys had your break there for a while, you were able to work with a whole bunch of really cool people. And I see that you worked with Grace Jones.
I did, yeah.
And subsequently Sly and Robbie. Is that also the case?
Well, yeah. I mean, basically, so what happened is I co-wrote Disposable Heroes of Hypocrisy with Michael Franti right around the time he signed to Island Records. And so that record, everyone at Island liked the record. They were in the process of re-signing Grace at that time. And so they figured, hey, why not put, these young upstarts with Grace? Ultimately, I mean, it was a great learning experience. Not very fruitful. There was, one EP that came out. She did a Consolidated cover, and she did the song Sex Drive, and
that's pretty
That was
awesome.
typical male.
Grace Jones, doing Typical Male.
Yeah. No, that was kind of the high point of the whole thing. Is Grace?
That's got to be.
Typical Male.
That's got to be.
And that was super cool. But unfortunately, the rest of the album, there was a whole album. Unfortunately, it never saw the light of day. But it was an amazing.
Sad.
Yeah, it was an amazing learning experience for me, though, because the engineering on the project was this guy Paul Smeichel, who also goes by Groucho, who's you might be familiar with. He did a lot of the Black Uhuru stuff and the Gregory Isaacs stuff. He's a Jamaican guy, English Jamaican guy, and I got to sit in the studio with Groucho for a year, and that was like going to school for me, man. I mean, he taught me so much about dub and just about production in general. And it was, he was the engineer, I was the producer, but let's be real, that dude had way more cred than I did. And that was the most positive thing, is just my relationship with Groucho. I mean, Grace was cool, it was interesting. But it was.
Did you work with Michael Rose as well?
Yeah, actually, a friend of mine, this guy Sia, plays guitar with. And in sum up, also then we ended up getting actually Robbie. We never got Sly, but we got Robbie Shakespeare on the Grace record. So I. Worked with him then. But then, then years later, my friend Sia is a guitar player, and he was playing guitar with Sly and Robbie and touring with them, as their touring guitarist. And then and then they had Michael Rose as the singer on a few of these tours. And so Sia had this little record label called Foreign Key Records. And so while he was on tour with these guys, when they had a day off, he would just go, he's like, I'm, traveling with these amazing musicians. He would just book a random studio while they were on the road with a day off. And he recorded all these bits and pieces. And then he produced them into these Michael Rose tracks. I ended up mixing and dubbing a bunch of that stuff like 2-3 years ago now.
And then, of course, working with Jack Dangers, and then working on Michael Franti's Disposable Heroes Hypocrisy. God, that's hard to say. Yeah. That's just like building up the arsenal of knowledge, and as far as like being firsthand like artistic inspiration. Did you find yourself just absorbing stuff that you would later see coming out now in your own newer music?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No question. I mean, it's all, it's all a process, as you know, it's just a life process, man. You learn things from other people. hopefully you teach some things to other people that are coming up behind you, you know, and that's what I love about music is the process. You know, when I started, of course, like many young people, I had delusions of grandeur. And as I learned, you know, when you come in with that attitude, man, you're going to get kicked down hard. And so, you know, when you get kicked down enough times, then you just don't care anymore. And then you just keep doing it because it's just something you do. It's just, you know.
Yep.
I think that's when things start to get good, actually, isn't it?
No, I totally agree. And it's, so for me, especially in later years, you know, it's all about the process. I don't care if anything, you know, is well received or you know, or people buy it, or, you know, I get, you know, X number of plays on Spotify or whatever. I don't care about any of that anymore. For me, it's just the process of going to the studio and working on stuff that I like and making cool stuff, you know.
And the setups between then, from when you first started making music until now, have changed considerably. Technology. What were you guys originally making music on at the beginning?
Well, in the very early days,
Very beginning.
in the very beginning, I had a Tascam 4-track, a Porta 1, and when I was like 21 or something like that, I worked at the Guitar Center so I could buy gear on the cheap. And what they don't tell you about those gigs is you never make enough money to actually buy gear. You get an employee discount, but you never make enough money to buy gear.
I think Craig can tell you about that.
Yep, I did that.
Yeah. But I did manage to walk away from my Guitar Center days with that Tascam Porta 1, and I bought a TR 707 when they were brand new. And then I think later an SPX 90. And so that,
there you go, like that.
And that was my rig. And so Adam and I were doing that. And then I was listening to like Skinny Puppy and you guys, and I'm like, well, those guys all have samplers. I need to get a sampler. And so eventually I think I picked up an Emax in like 1987, and that changed everything. Once you know, once the sampler was in the mix, that was really the start of Consolidated, you know.
And what sort of DAW were you using then to sequence stuff?
Oh, well, the very first sequencer was an MSQ 700.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
We went to Elisa's.
Well, later on it was Elisa's MMT8, but the very first one was the MSQ, I believe it was 700 or maybe 100, but it was a loaner, Ken Kesey, who had been Until December's producer. When he heard that we were getting into samplers or whatever, we were hanging out with him one day, and he said, "Oh yeah, here, try this old sequencer." And I was like, "Oh yeah, MIDI sequencing. Wow, that's a, you know." And,
yeah.
Yep.
So that grew. I gather along the way, you eventually migrated into a newer DAW, a Mac, or something.
Yeah, my very first one was Vision, Opcode's Vision.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
Dwayne loved that one too.
Yeah, no, Vision was great. I'm sad that it discontinued, but because we had Vision.
Studio Vision, was that the same as Vision?
Studio Vision was. Well,
Yeah.
they started calling it Studio Vision when they integrated with Pro Tools, because I bought like a Pro Tools 1 rig or something like that, still with a Nubus card, a Mac SE, and a Nubus. You get 4 channels of digital audio on a hard disk.
Yeah.
But you could run Vision as the front end of that. Vision would allow the MIDI sequencing and then the digital audio, and that's when they started calling it Studio Vision. Same thing though, and then eventually that all fell off, and then I just sort of got into Pro Tools, and then in fact I still use Pro Tools as my main DAW. I use Ableton for performing live and for some production trickery, but mostly Pro Tools is my thing, you know.
Really? So I used to think that the MIDI sequencing capabilities of Pro Tools were somewhat limited, but I guess they're a little bit more.
Well, they are, but they're also they're really basic. And what I like about it is is it edits up just the same way the audio edits up. It's just like you see it on the timeline.
Yeah.
I guess they do have a MIDI editor, but I never use it.
It's
And-
just something that what you get used to, and then when you don't have to think and you utilize your DAWs.
Exactly.
Like
I've tried jumping onto Logic like a few times, but then I just get frustrated and just like close it out and start Pro Tools.
I think that that happens with everybody though, so it's nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
But so in your studio, room 5, it seems you built up an arsenal. You've collected some vintage stuff. So Jack's sort of wearing off on you a little bit there.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I've always been into synths and stuff, but no, Jack's definitely been an inspiration on the collection tip. And the thing is most of the like really fancy ones, I bought them in the 90s, when they weren't that expensive, and I'm sure
Right.
you do too. A lot of this stuff just became available for really cheap. And I remember picking up an OBXA for, I don't know, like $1,500, and I honestly, in the early 90s, I paid like $800 for my Minimo, and
That's the only time that you should have bought it, is those days, because like I paid, people always freak out because I say that I paid less than $200 for a CS80.
yeah, right.
And it was like, this guy just wanted to get rid of it because it was 220 pounds.
Right. And, so you have a CS80 then?
Yeah,
Oh,
I do. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's I've got the software version. That's kind of the holy grail for me.
It's crazy that at the time I remember thinking, oh, I'll take it. Just a big lunkin thing.
Yeah.
You didn't really think, oh, this thing's going to be worth big money one day.
Oh my
At the time.
God,
Didn't seem-
they're worth like 20 grand now or more.
Yeah. It's a little disheartening.
Yeah.
Um,
Those things a ton too. They like weigh like 200 pounds or something ridiculous.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to carry it by yourself.
No. And it's funny because all the guys like Bob Marley and stuff, they used to tour around with. They used to have a couple CS80s. Wonder like why they would like want to carry such heavy synths, but at the time that was like,
that's what was available at the time. I mean, the CS80 kind of it really predates the Oberheims, and I guess the Prophet was like another big innovation, and that was lighter and it kind of had the same sonic capabilities of a CS80. In fact, I'm still kicking myself over the Prophet I could have bought for $500 in 1992, but it's like,
I sold one, so I'm one of the ones that let it go.
yeah.
It's kind of sad. So okay,
I know Adam's like throwing up on himself while we're talking about gear.
No, it's cool. I just took the dog for a walk. I went to the store, got some beers. I'm having a 40. So keep going.
Good.
Adam, you don't collect gear?
I do collect the old Git box. I have an old Git box, and someone lent me an iPad so I could yell lo-fi garbage into it from this project. But the gear I collect is a 1-speed bike, and it's pretty funky sounding. It is as compatible as any of the old stuff.
But what are you using for guitars on the record?
I have the same guitar that I had in 1992, and I had this little battery-powered microcube that I use because I play on the street with people who often play acoustic, and it's really quiet, but it has all the sounds. And then, for years, I did tinker around with the possibility of MIDI guitar, as frustrating as it was. But
when we started, he was playing that Roland synth guitar, the GR800.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the one with the trippy bar on top.
Yeah, I remember that. It looked
Nice.
like an
Come on,
alien.
give us a story about that.
Well, I want to play all the fucking thrilly sounds that you fuckers play, and I was early on that journey. MIDI guitar is a failing concept because of latency, and I will admit that I bought a very cheap, what I a finitar. I've been trying to develop the infinitar, which gives me, every sound in a housing the size of your dumb phone that every instrument or every vocalist can use, that has the entire acquired foot stomping and rack mounted evolution of sound and affecting. But I found this stupid thing called a Vox Starstream, which used to be in the 60s a teardrop guitar by the amp company that had a bunch of switches on it.
Right.
But they tried somewhere 6 years ago to put this out on the market. And basically, I wouldn't get it because it costs too much. And I'm dealing in a whole different ballpark than you solvent yuppie music acquirers. And when it came down to the price of a glorified foot pedal, I got one. And what I did notice that while it's not an infinitar, it only has a small amount of like synth sounds. It has quite a good range of acoustic sounds that I'd be able to play some shit, when we play live. And it solves one problem of MIDI. They are not using MIDI pins to connect the language. They have defeated MIDI and there's no latency. So it's that's what I'm playing. And I play an old broken Stratocaster that I've been sharing with people on the street for a decade, but I have no gear. That was a long answer because I wanted to keep up with you guys. You guys sounded so psyched up talking about all your technocracy.
So it's the stage guitar, the one you've been playing live?
Yeah, I'll be using that. I'll be trying to, pay as little as possible to put that under a plane for a few days.
Very
And
cool.
then, the idea is that when we tour in a year, Mark and Kevin and I and whoever we can tour with in Europe, we'll be able to stretch out and really play for a couple hours and get on some crazy shit.
I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to if you guys are at the Mayan on September 30th to coming and checking this out for sure.
You can see it an
I
hour
wanna
later.
see-
It'll be on YouTube.
Yeah, I want to see you rip a few things on the guitar, Adam.
Something's coming. There has to be an accounting and a reckoning with the past. And people, mostly 9-year-old girls in Japan and Sicily are shredding the fuck out of every single instrument as mostly a reaction to the sort of technocratic sledgehammer that people have been experiencing for the last 25 years. So we're going to throw some shit in there that it's like the old shit, and yet hopefully it will account for the recent developments and have something new to say in 45 minutes for these gigs.
We have a question here from Alex, a guy named Alex Skull.
Yeah.
I've never heard of them.
Do you have a favorite roadie?
Oh, you saw that.
I
That's
haven't
funny.
seen anything.
Hey, Alex, hope you're well, man.
Alex is on the
Yeah.
side here. Big up to Scully.
Well,
Scully,
Scully, Scully by far is our favorite crew guy, of course.
Oh yeah, for sure. Is it
He's
not
the
true that
fucking-
you, Mark, you've become a journeyman in the same union local that Scully's in?
It's very true. Yeah, I'm a member of Local 16. It's a labor union
Nice.
here in San Francisco, and yeah, this music thing is a little hit and miss on the economic side. So
I would never
Yeah,
tell them this.
I
This
do,
industrial music. It's a passing thing.
yeah, so I do I do union audio work to help pay the bills, and so it's interesting. I work at the Fillmore sometimes. I do a lot of corporate things, and that's
Nothing wrong with that, man.
That's my side
It's a
hustle.
classic venue, who doesn't ever forget playing a show at the Fillmore?
Yeah. No,
And
it's
if you're helping.
no, it's fun. I love the place. It's one
It's
of the
where
fun
you could.
parts of
It's
the-
where you got a fucking board tape of Keith and all the other Stones playing on your fucking.
Oh well, sure. I got Fillmore stories too. Yeah. One time I walked in. Well, this was years ago. One time I walked in, and often you don't know who's playing that night or whatever. You're just going to work. I walked in to find that the Rolling Stones had rented the Fillmore on this particular night for a private party, and it was for one of their crew guys' birthday. I was the front of house sound guy, and
Oh, wow.
they all went. They sang the guy happy birthday, and then And then Keith and Ron Wood and the rest of the touring Stones got up and jammed for a good hour. And I was, you know, and I'm like, holy shit, you know, I was like, I'm at my cue mix on. I'm like queuing up and listening to Keith play. That was a phenomenal experience.
That's the blues, baby. We need a new kind of blues.
Yeah, that's one of the spoils of being in such a great venue like that.
You know, for sure.
Well, what's next in the studio then?
Well, you know, we've got a couple of interesting releases coming up. I just go there and I'm working every day on various things. I've been doing a lot of stuff with this small label called Emergency Hearts. This guy Scott Crow from a kind of the Texas industrial scene. He's got a cool label, and so I've been doing a lot of work for him. You know, production work and remixes and stuff. And recently, kind of through Scott, but also kind of on our own, we did a little collaboration with Mark Stewart, who's one of our heroes. I mean, you know,
Right.
My God, when I heard "Fear of Democracy" or the "Veneer of Democracy" starts to fade, you know, it was like blew my mind. So it was really an honor. So we did a track with Mark, and also through Scott, the Emergency Hearts. We've got an Adrian Sherwood remix coming of our dub track, which I'm super excited about. Another big hero, and to have Adrian Sherwood, you know, mixing my best Adrian Sherwood imitation, which is what I feel like I did on that dub track. You know, it's like,
your remix was awesome. That dub remix you just put out.
Oh yeah, the Auto Club thing. Yeah. That's this guy. It was just interesting. We just sort of connected. He's a DJ. He does like techno and house mostly, but he's also got an interest in dub. And it turns out the guy's from my hometown, Duluth, Minnesota, and we just became Facebook friends. And he was like, and he was aware of Consolidated. He's like, oh, I didn't know you're from Duluth, blah, blah, blah. One thing led to another. And I would do a dub mix of for his band, Auto Club, which I did. And that one came out pretty decent.
What's the essential tool you learned from working in the Grace Jones project for getting the real sound of dub? What was the essential acquisition?
Oh God! I mean, it's so many things. I mean, for me, it's kind of like a filter sweep into a spring reverb. You know what I mean? It's just like that. Right. Like, you know, that filter sweep into a spring reverb kind of defines it. You know, and so filter sweeps into spring reverbs, into tape delays, you know, and a good solid bass line is what makes it for me.
Yeah, I had scientists visit the house here a couple of times.
Oh, rad.
I felt like such fanboy, you know. I thought, like,
oh yeah.
First question I was going to ask him was, okay, did you take the bass direct or did you mic a cabinet? Oh, always direct, man.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so that's the first question you get answered right away. And it's like, okay, I can throw away every Ampeg cabinet from now on. You always thought you'd retain.
Right.
They sound good.
Those fridges around anyway.
Yeah. And so the bass is in the blood, man. It got into the system there for you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It sounds pretty authentic. Did you ever get a chance to go down to Jamaica?
I've never been. No, I've never been.
You need to go. That's where the real heart of the studio. You spend some studio time down there is like pretty.
Oh, I would love to.
Amazing.
I would love to do that. A friend of mine and I guess I'm collaborating with him again. A friend of mine, Gary Wartz, has been making trips to Jamaica, and he started. He just released a track with Junior Reed.
I love Junior Reed.
Yeah. And I did a dub of that. And
nice.
So
where can we find this stuff that you're speaking of, the dub stuff?
Let's see. Well, I've got some stuff on Bandcamp. The Junior Reed one, I don't know if it's been released yet, but it's but it's out there.
What's your, that's other than the Consolidated Bandcamp, I take it you have a,
Yeah, well, I've got a Mark Pistel one for my solo stuff,
okay,
and this guy, his artist name is GRW, and that's so I think the Junior Reed one is released on probably GRW Bandcamp, I think.
I'll definitely be checking that out. The stuff that you guys have been doing over the course of the pandemic, you guys did a few live streams with Meat Beat Manifesto and a couple of other people, a crew. Those were pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, that was Jack and Ben actually. They did that Cold Waves thing. Yeah, you know, of course, Ben Stokes. I mean, genius, visual guy. Well, he's just all around genius. I don't know if you know Ben, but I you know, he's a very close friend, and
Where does he get all that shit from?
I have no idea. I mean, he's an insane workaholic. I mean, every time well, what are you doing? I'm working, I'm rendering some shit, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, but Ben, both on the musical tip and on the visuals, he's, you know,
That's good.
he's
I
just
would.
him, man.
Did
I
you bring
really
in
love
additional
it.
sound on that Meat Beat tour?
Sorry, say again.
Did you bring in additional sound on that Meat Beat tour?
No, I mean, I do I go out and do Meat Beats live mix now with them. I travel with them as their live sound engineer. But I didn't bring anything extra. No, all that bass is coming from Jack, man. I swear to God. You know, of course I try to give it as much love at the front of house as I can, but you know, I don't know how he does it, man.
Yeah, because
The
that place you played, the 1720.
Yeah.
I think we've seen a couple shows there as well, Kevin. It's down there by the freeway, and I swear to God that I've never heard bass like that. When
No,
that
that's
first
good.
bass drop hit, I looked back at you and I was all like,
I played with
"Ooh."
David Wright and Not Breathing. We played a show opening for you guys at the El Rey, and I've never heard bass like that at the El Rey before that or ever after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We're sitting backstage and it was just shaking everything.
The whole place was just like. The thing is it's also in tune. Basically, it seems to be
Yeah.
resonating properly
Yeah.
because everything
You
is
know,
just
I mean,
tight in
as
tune.
the live sound engineer, I'd like to take credit, but I really can't. I mean, it's fucking Jack, man. It's just the way he tunes and does his bass, you know. I mean,
What did Jack learn to make bass sound so damn good?
He's a drummer and a bass player.
Well, yeah, and and he was the T-boy at the studio, and he grew up in Swindon, where XTC are from, and his upbringing comes from being the T-boy for Andy Partridge
Wow.
around the XTC English settlement time. He was like T-boy at the studio, and
Nice.
yeah, and so I know
See?
his very first record pre-Meat Beat, Perennial Divide, was produced by Andy Partridge actually, and so that's
Wow, didn't know that.
I didn't either.
That's cool. It's kind of proof that a few times on these chats that people have said they got their way into working in a studio by being the assistant, just being the guy that'll do whatever it takes to get the job.
Yeah.
And then they built into like John Fryer or like other people like this. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's like any other gang or the mob.
That's right. You
I
get
get jumped
paid.
in.
Show your loyalty.
So do you guys have a favorite album or song that you've made that you really thought was like the time when you really just said exactly what you wanted and it came out the way you exactly wanted? Or have you achieved that?
Never. I'm always hypercritical of anything we do, and I always I always think it's a failure until somebody else tells me it's good, but even still, I don't know.
We're
Adam?
about, I think I always look back at about 2 or 3 of the 20 or so bits. Like all 3 of us, we weren't compromising, we weren't conflicting. And, the other 17 of the 20 bits, we were conflicting and compromising, and we were being a band. So, I feel like we're still finding ways in the era of everybody gets everything they want perfected with an auto-tune, polished third. We're still looking for that. And maybe on this record, we hit that about the same thing. This is Mark's and my ongoing aesthetic conversation, our dispute, our compromise,
Well-
our cohesion.
Well, it's true. I mean, we do tend to argue a little bit over musical bullshit.
We're
Banana,
into it.
stylistic, but that's like that tension is kind of what makes what we do cool, I think. So,
I totally agree with that. I mean, I think the tension in a band makes for, in some ways, makes for something that you wouldn't do if you were all just lovey-dovey all the time about things. There's got to be an edge, but an edge
We
that
have no tension in the
it's an
studio.
edge. Oh no, yeah, I don't know about that at all.
Yeah,
When you
now
get
that
vocalists, and guitar
Sorry.
players,
yeah, guitar players, vocalists.
like that.
Hey,
That's
if I
when
were
the trouble.
A
when the trouble
disembodied
starts.
vocal sample coming in your phone machine answering service, then it would work. But then there's all that ugly guitar shit you got to contend with.
yeah, yeah. It's true.
Is there any plans other than Consolidated for live shows or Meat Beat? Is there any things coming up with that?
Not that I'm aware of. I spoke to Ben and I recently. I don't think they're planning anything. Not in the immediate future. Although I mean, hey, we Consolidateds are going to try to pull this off and do something like summer next year and I was just kind of flippantly throwing out the idea of, hey, well, why don't Meat Beat come along and we do a Consolidated Meat Beat tour again? And that idea wasn't completely shot down. So
That's cool.
I don't know that it's that would happen, but anyway,
It's funny you mentioned that Meat Beat Consolidated. I think that happened at the Seattle Center.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, we did a couple of tours together, and that's we first off we just shared a couple of bills, and that's how we became friends with Jack and the rest of the crew. And then after sharing a couple of bills, it was actually Phil's idea. We were going to go in the studio, and we always love, it was like storm the studio. We're like, holy shit, that record sounds so good. And we were just about to make Friendly Fascism, and it was Phil's idea. He's like, why don't we ask Jack if he'll come to the studio and mix with us, and that's what we did. It was his idea, and that started our long relationship with Jack, and so so we did a couple of tours, Consolidated Meat Beat together after that.
We want to do something
We would have met on that
more,
tour.
way more bucket list. We want to fucking tour with Skinny Puppy. We want
I've heard
to
Skinny
tour,
Puppy.
or
Yeah,
we
so
want to tour with. Hold on, we want to tour with Public Enemy. We want to tour with some motherfuckers who are really, realizing how old we are and how few times left we'll have to bucket list some amazing adventure. And I don't have any clout there, but we're shooting for that type of shit.
Yeah.
So if y'all got any fucking suggestions, let us know.
Well, and speaking of which, Kevin, what is the future of Skinny Puppy? Are you still doing shows? Are you guys done? Are you doing more stuff? What's going on with that?
It's just kind of I'll tell you later.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No pressure. Sorry.
No required.
No comment.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. No problem.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't want to bring up a an uncomfortable issue.
Well, there could be something that I could talk about, but then I don't there could be nothing too.
Yeah, no, I get
But
it.
like, I'd rather be vague than say give away any.
We didn't want to
give
put
away
you on the spot, bro. We just think you're.
No,
a
see,
funky
I
guy.
like being on the spot. I think it's it's what we're about now, isn't it? Being real is being put on the
No,
spot.
it is, and and we love what you do. I mean, last time I saw you guys was at it was at the Regency in San Francisco. It was
I'm sorry, I was earlier. Mine last time was the I-beam, and it was lasting, very lasting.
Well, let's just say that there's people are talking. I guess that's the main thing, right? People are talking, and as long as they're talking, then something we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I really encourage people to go out and check out We're Already There, the album, listen to it tonight, and listen to the whole album, because I think by the end you'll be like me. You'll be like, damn, that was really well made, guys, and I think you did a great job.
You're awesome.
That's really good. That's
You
really
can also
glad.
feel like you were totally exhausted, and you never want to fucking have to go through that, choke that whole shit down again.
No. I totally disagree. I think there was like it's varied enough that it's a nice trip. I mean, if you put it on in a place like, let's say, a public place, and nobody knew what it was, guaranteed people will be at certain points come up to the DJ, who is this? Because you just can't figure it out. It's like it hits all avenues.
Well, that is quite a compliment. I really appreciate that.
Cheers.
It's funny, my eyes keep getting drawn to the album cover you have back there, and then the one behind Kevin. They have this kind of similarity in
They do, don't they?
tone and aesthetics, and then and kind of musically,
Nice.
Sort of
thinking about Hilt and Consolidated. It's kind of
Oh no, that would be a good bill.
That would be a good bill. Hilton Consolidated, yeah.
Oh,
There's a little similarity I feel in there, especially in the tones and everything, and kind of like the attitudes and everything.
it's weird to be the only surviving member of a band. I think like that's something I didn't expect. It's like where all of your bandmates are not there. You're the only one left. You don't go out and do a tour without them. No.
Yeah.
You could do it all Sisters of Mercy style. Just go out there with mass fog.
Oh,
Yeah, lots of smoke.
tons of fog, and then that's it.
Well, that's what I saw. Sisters of Mercy. That's what you couldn't even see whether there was a band playing or not. It was just
Yeah, I was just looking at some footage of Sisters of Mercy live, and I was like, is it just him and a DAT machine? Is that what he does now?
Yeah. Well, there were. I think
He had to have the cute Elvira chick with that. That was some good stuff. That was some very archetypal drum machine stuff, along with Red Lorry, Yellow Lorry, no doubt.
For sure.
That's funny. I was just watching some Red Lorry, Yellow Lorry live the other day on the YouTube. I love that band.
Saw them right.
Didn't you guys have a member of Specimen playing your live band?
We had Specimen had Mark and me as members of his live band.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
You guys actually played Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
We
Well,
did.
We actually
No,
snorted it.
Let me tell you, it was a great band. So it was the remnants of this was pre-consolidated. It was the remnants of Specimen and the remnants of Until December. We made this hybrid. We made this hybrid band because we were all doing the same drugs at the same time, and and it was called Fearsome. And we actually kind of were. We were pretty fucking fearsome. We did it just a handful of shows on the West Coast, and we did
And a trip to Hawaii.
and we did a trip to Hawaii, and we played. We played Specimen songs. I don't think we played any Until December songs.
We played "Look Back in Anger" by Bowie, and
We
I
played
fucking
we
sang
played
the
like
lead.
Bowie songs and Iggy songs, and
Oh, wow.
and we were a fucking great rock band. It was, and so we had Ollie Wisdom was the Bowie vocalist. Then we had Adam as the Iggy vocalist, and shit, man.
This is what everyone thinks when they're tweaked on meth. But it was a
Any
good time.
videos of that around? Any YouTube delights?
Sadly, I don't think so.
Oh man,
We did
Wow.
one recording at Hyde Street at a proper studio. We made a demo, but I don't think it ever. I was recently going through stuff, hoping I would find the archive of it on a cassette somewhere, but I didn't.
Was
That'd be
was there
amazing.
one song by Until December that became a theme song for a Canadian entertainment show?
I don't know about that.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, that's a different song.
Doubt that.
Someone in network had a song that it became quite popular for, like, it's almost like an Entertainment Weekly type song. I can't remember.
We
who
had
that
a
was.
song called Entertainment Weekly, but that was already sampling another song called Entertainment Weekly. Apparently, there was a Canadian band from Nova Scotia called Sloan who invoked us in their lyrics and invoked our crowd in their lyrics. And
Wow.
so that was a funny thing.
I've heard of Sloan, but I had no idea. I didn't know anything about that.
The paraphrasing was the line, it's not Consolidated that I hate, it's their audience.
Right.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you. You deserve to hate us too.
Well, you guys, it's been a true honor having you here. Sorry, Adam, that we can't see you.
No need. It's a
Would have
true
liked to
honor
see
here.
you. You see, we will not be able to. You were saying when you see us, we won't be able to recognize you.
I'm just an idea.
But thank you, Mark and Adam, for joining us today. And as I said before, go out and check their new album. You're going to be very surprised. I'm very much looking forward to September 30th at the Mayan. I will definitely be there. September 24th, the Cold Waves Festival at the Metro in Chicago.
Are you in LA?
Yeah, I'm in LA.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
good.
me too,
Can't
by
wait.
the way.
Yep.
I'm-
Dre and
I'm in
I
LA.
will
Both
come
of
down
you.
and bother you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew that because I talked to Scully. So
You're gonna get to see me jump naked off the fucking hotel roof into the pool one final time while yelling, "I'm a golden techno ass."
That's awesome, man. Well, that's only
One more time, baby.
2
I
months from
look
now.
forward to that.
That's like 2 months away.
Yeah,
Okay.
not
Thanks so
too
much
long
for
now.
having me. Really, really.
I'm
appreciate it.
preparing myself right now.
So are we.
Well, you guys, thanks for joining us once again, and thank you for all the support to the Patreon crew for joining in and supporting these chats. Thanks to the artists for making the music that you do. Keep on going. Thank you, Dre, for sitting in with us today, and thank you, Scully, for your secret hints.
Scully,
And-
Dre, good talking to you all. Yeah.
Good
Thank
to hear
you,
from you,
Kevin.
Adam.
Right,
Thanks,
we'll
guys.
see you.
Good to see you,
See
Mark.
you, see you September 30th.
You got it. All right. Take care.